Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to another cholesterol-filled episode of Small Town Failing Podcast. Joined once again, our first episode guest, Mr. Evan Slead. Evan,
Hello.
how are you doing?
I'm good.
How's everything? How's everything, Evan? Is everything okay?
Everything is so good. I haven't had bacon in a while though, now that I'm thinking about it.
Has it been I made do you celebrate St. Patrick's Day? Do you do anything for it?
I observe it. I wouldn't say I celebrate it.
You
Well,
just
actually what's funny, we went to dinner on St. Patrick's Day at this place called Din Tai Fung, which is like
Irish.
it's like Chinese food basically. Yes.
Oh,
Fully Irish.
Wouldn't have
But
guessed.
the guy, our waiter would like not leave us alone. He was just like, "Oh, you guys want a drink?" And I was like, "No, we're good." And he's like, "It's St. Patrick's Day." And I was like, "This isn't a bar, dude.
Yeah,
like,
we're eating Chinese.
Let's chill out. Where's my dumplings? Let's chill out, you know?"
Come on, bro. Let's do some fucking shots.
For real. Did you do anything for St. Patrick's Day?
No, I make a corned beef at home. I'm not Irish. We don't really celebrate, but like the kids like it. And we set like a trap for the leprechaun to try and catch him every year.
Love it.
Didn't happen this year.
Little asshole.
But the that's kind of their thing, right? The other reason I asked, the last time I made bacon was we made cabbage and I sauteed some with some bacon. Yeah. But I'm a big bacon fan. When I was a kid, when I was younger, like elementary school, every Sunday my parents would make me a pound of bacon for breakfast. And like that's what I would eat. Like, yeah.
Wait, I feel like I feel like I remember this.
Yeah.
There's like some memory of you telling me about the bacon pound.
It's odd I had like a weight problem as a kid, but
I know who knows where it started, right? It couldn't be that.
So like literally like for years it was every Sunday. And then when I was in high school, every day for lunch, my mom would make me like banquet fried chicken. And like that's what I would take for lunch. It's like amazing that I'm not like dead, but more importantly, speaking of people that people want dead, Tom Scandival. For right? Did you see the mid-season trailer or next time or this season? Yeah. So for those of you that just listened to this glorious podcast, Evan and I used to do Friends of the Real Housewives, which was a housewives podcast. I always tell people that like we got like because they'll ask, did you get any housewives to actually come on? And we did, but it was the one that got kicked off for being racist. So now it's not fun.
And you know what? That's not a reflection on us at all.
Yeah.
Because she was also kind of a grifter. So it made total sense that she was like, I'll do any show that I get invited to, you know.
To be fair, we invited her on after the whole thing. We said like, yeah, like we got to get her. No, I'm kidding. It was so Leanne Locken, she was on Dallas. We had her on after season 1, right? Like it was in between season 1 and 2.
Yes.
And my favorite part of that story was that we didn't do like video, but she was on like Skype the entire time on video, right? Like staring at you.
It was really awkward. And we're just like, you don't have to be on video, but okay, go ahead.
Turn that off.
Good times.
So you are not up to date on Vanderpump Rules, but you're obviously aware of Scandival Gate 2023. What are your thoughts?
I'm honestly, I was shocked the day I heard because I have always really liked Tom Sandoval and love Ariana. So my heart breaks for her, but I was honestly like, what the hell, dude? Why are you doing this? And then Raquel, I don't know. I'm kind of shocked that she would even have like the audacity or the confidence to do something like this.
Yeah, and I mean, so it's interesting. I know you're not up to date on the episodes, but like the last couple, you're starting to see a little bit of the creeping around, which is interesting because like and we talked about it in the last episode too, but like I'm hook, line, and sinker for her. Like I felt awful the way like James treated her, and obviously there's some real damage done there, but now you're starting to be like, maybe not the best, but like I said, she served a purpose and she brought that show back from like the dead, for lack of a better term. Like it was pretty
This
much
is very
done, and
true.
last season was awful. So you know,
Yeah, I
good
didn't.
for
I
her.
think I saw like part of it. I did see on Twitter that
Hmm.
Andy, who is now flying, or I think he's probably here by now, but was flying to LA to film the reunion,
Hmm.
that he was watching the second half of the season that's about to air, and he was like, "This is literally the best Bravo I've ever seen."
Wow. I mean, it like this story. Like I can't think of anything. Like when Teresa Giudice went to jail. Like obviously it was big,
Hmm.
but like I feel like this is, like CNN's covering it. Like it's everywhere. Like and it's interesting because like at the heart of it, it's really just like a scumbag cheating on his girlfriend, right? Like, and they've all cheated on each other and done terrible things to one another. So it's interesting that like this is the one that's like the biggest story that's ever hit those Bravo shows, you know?
I know. I'm just bummed that none of the like headlines were like singer of Touch in Public caught cheating.
Why is that never mentioned? This isn't even a joke. Like at least 2 or 3 times a year I go back and watch that song and the video.
Absolutely.
It's not a
You're not
bad
alone.
song. Yeah.
No.
um anywho, speaking of I don't have a good transition. Tonight,
Speaking of bad acting,
speaking of greasy situations,
love that. Love that.
speaking of pigs,
Love
uh
that. Even better.
let's just spitball this for the next 45 minutes.
Love it.
We watched You're Baking Me Crazy, a 2020 Lifetime movie, which I had actually seen before, but had gotten like, I didn't remember much of it, surprisingly. I had gotten like, when I started this, a bunch of people, like, just because the name is so ridiculous, had kind of
Yeah.
recommended it or thought it would be funny. But, I thought, what better? You and I obviously talk about food a good amount. Um, Speaking of, how has your Taco Bell been lately?
Honestly, it's been a while since I've
Mm,
been. Maybe like a month and a half. But the last time I went, it was fine because I got a Mexican pizza, and that just feels everything
yeah,
feels better now that that's
feels
back.
right. I did
Yeah.
so yeah, I think I did last weekend or maybe the weekend before, just because I
Hmm.
was out and stopped on the way home, but I don't do it too often. I have ventured into the Crunchwrap Supremes,
Love
um,
those.
which yeah, I'm a fan of. And I order through the mobile app now because I love that you can do like all your customizations because like I get super like a ton of anxiety of like trying to change anything or like spouting out, oh, I want this instead of this and all that. But like on the app, you can just kind of do whatever you want. So it's really been a game changer for me at least.
It's truly a beautiful thing. And they have the zero sugar Baja Blast now. I don't know if you've had that
Oh, I have
or if you
not.
care about that.
I don't drink. I'm not a huge soda person.
All right. See ya. No, I get it. I like soda a lot. I used to love it more than I do now. I'm more of like a tea person these days.
mm, I think I so again, like when
Delicious.
I was a kid, like I remember sitting down for breakfast and like having cereal and then like pouring myself like a glass of like orange soda. Like so I think I got my fill when I was a kid.
Now
And
now you just sit down at breakfast and pour yourself a glass of
just
vodka.
just you got to get by. Two kids. Um, I don't know where the hell we were. So You're Baking Me Crazy, starring Natalie Hall, who was I think on like 11 episodes of True Blood. If you watched
Perfect.
that, I don't remember. And a bunch of other things that I looked up before this, but we've actually discussed, not you and I, but like I think done a couple of other movies she's been in for the show. Michael Raddy or Randy. Let's just go with Randy.
Sure.
Is her co-star in this lovely piece, directed by Alan Harmon of Alan Harmon fame. And yeah, so I mean, you've been on, I think this is probably your fourth or fifth time at this point. So
Yeah.
I think we've kind of discussed your history with Hallmark movies, but like outside of like Christmas, do you ever like venture with them? Like I know your mom is a wonderful fan, but is it more of like a Christmas time thing or do you jump into the non-holiday ones at all?
It's mostly Christmas, like we talked about. I don't. I'm trying to remember watching this last night. That I feel like I rarely ever watch one other than when I've been with you.
Mhm.
Like that doesn't have to do with Christmas.
Yeah.
So that was kind of an interesting experience on its own.
Well, there you go. I'm glad that I could bring that into your life. But
Thank you.
I think that's a majority of people's like experience, and you know, you can kind of see not the like the quality dip, but it's a little thrown together, right? And like this one is, I think, 3 years old at this point. So I know I've talked a lot about like I feel like in the last couple of years, like you know, things have really kind of kicked up with some of the stories and things have improved. This one feels a little cookie cutter, but there it's interesting, sort of the conflict or lack thereof, which we'll get
Hmm.
into, felt a lot different, but for the most part, the story revolves around a chef who has started a food truck. We find out her grandfather owned like an Italian deli or something along those lines. Like they don't really give like a ton of details about what was going on in that building that she just sits outside.
Yeah, she just sits
uh,
in front of it and draws while this old
but
man comes and is like, "Oh, what you working on?"
real weird. So
My grandpa's old shop.
I just sit
Right.
here in this abandoned building. But she plays Natalie Hall plays Chloe, and she is the chef, has a food truck. Her thing is sandwiches, right? Like she kind of takes her inspiration or elevates them or whatever the hell she wants to call it. And that's kind of her thing. And then our co-pilot here, who is what the hell is his name in this? Gabe rolls back into town. This is set in Portland, although filmed in Canada, obviously. Comes back into town for his brother's 30th birthday, who we meet his brother right off the bat. And we get this kind of quick backstory that Gabe is a man of the road and doesn't like to settle down. And it's kind of alluded to that his ex is in town in Portland. And we'll get more into that later. But like, he has a fear of commitment. He travels constantly. Like, he pretty much lives out of this food truck called Mo Bacon. Um, which I was last night, Leslie and I were watching this trying to figure out towards the end, like, does he sleep in there? Like, where does he like actually live? Right.
I don't know if it's like one of those he travels and stays with people. I don't know.
Yeah.
All I could think about the entire time was like I just kept saying to my boyfriend too, like, "Oh, he's just a child of the world, like Dorit." You know,
That is true. Yeah. If
I
Dorit,
needed more accents.
I would love it if Dorit like got a food truck and just travel the countryside. Like that would be a lot of fun to watch. Like
Just
her
a
and
child of the
PK.
world.
I'm gonna make these beautiful sandwiches.
Oh my God, her and Jagger, and now that Jagger doesn't shut the hell up.
Yeah. I do like speaking of that, not Jagger, I forget her daughter's name, but like not Jagger has really kind of made an appearance in the last couple
Yes,
seasons. It's
she's
nice.
made a mark.
Yeah.
Right. Jagger's tried. He really should have, hung up his acting career after
Mhm.
he called Erica a bad guy. I feel like that was it.
That
That's
was
the
the height.
pinnacle.
He called
You
it
can't really
too.
top it. Yeah, he did. He really did.
Speaking of, I don't know if you saw this, but jumping back to Vanderpump Rules, did you see that when sort of this whole thing broke, they weren't filming anymore for Vanderpump Rules, but like obviously like, everybody freaked out and they scrambled together to start filming again. They were supposed to be filming Dorit's charity event with Boy George singing, but they had to cancel that and take the crew and send it over to like get like Sandoval and Ariana and like I hope they left at least like one cameraman behind to like film the like reaction of Dorit and just like the total breakdown as she realized that like yeah, sure, you got Boy George, which I'm sure you're real excited about, but like these two are cheating over here, so like we need all the cameras and stuff to go.
That's amazing. I did not know that. But
Yeah,
yes, I hope there's like a handy cam footage of her with like, the subtitles on the bottom of her complaining about something
yeah.
backstage. Like, oh, are
Because
you
like,
kidding me?
how do you spin that you're obviously like not high in the totem pole if like an entire camera crew or like the entire crew just like ditches you because they got to go film a bunch of kids cheating on each other. I
Well, I
really
know.
enjoyed.
It's true.
First question: favorite sandwich, or what is your sandwich stance? Are you a sandwich aficionado? Do you enjoy them? I mean, I think everybody eats sandwiches, right? But like, you
I love a
enjoy?
good sandwich.
Hmm.
I'm not a big okay, so I'm not a big deli
Hmm.
sandwich guy. Like I don't go and get like a turkey sandwich. They're good. It just wasn't my first choice. I love like if I could have any kind, I love like a chicken parm
Oh,
or
yeah.
like with like vodka sauce or something.
That does sound
That's
nice.
what I'm
Yeah.
in for.
Yeah. So back east when we lived like in Jersey and like outside the city, you had like these old Italian delis that like would put like 9 pounds of like Italian cold cuts and stuff. And like Leslie and I really loved those. And like even I don't know, you guys don't have Wawas on the West Coast, but like
Sadly,
there's
no.
Wawa and then in Jersey Quick Check, which is like the exact same thing. Like it's like a convenience store, but you can order sandwiches there. Like those are wonderful. But like your general like Subways and stuff like that, like I will pass on. I'm not a huge fan. I do have a real problem with paninis though. Like that aggravates me in general. We may have talked about this too. Like I feel like every restaurant will like have like a sparkly sign that says like panini and like set a whole menu around the fact that they bought this like one panini press and like it really pisses me off. The whole
Well, and they don't take it all the way. That's the
yeah.
thing. I know we have talked about this, but we have to bring it up again because this is very important. They don't put the toppings in. It's like it's mostly bread. And listen, I love bread,
Mm,
but if you're getting me bored with bread so quickly, you've made a big mistake.
yeah, exactly. And I think just the like pompousness of the, if that's a real word, of like panini and like, kind of presenting that as like this amazing thing that you have at your deli. Like you pretty much have a glorified George Foreman grill that you're putting sandwiches in and like pressing it for 3 minutes. Like this isn't a big thing. And it aggravates me to just the point of no return.
I understand. Trust me. I really
Uh,
do.
Um, so we kind of talked about it at the beginning, like the quote unquote conflict in this, right? Like, so she has this food truck. They kind of bump into each other at a farmer's market, and there's like a little bit of flirting right off the bat. She mentions that she makes these sandwiches, has a food truck. He kind of asks, like, oh, like, where is this? And where's like the best place to get lunch? She tells him, and then he pulls up in his Mo Bacon food truck. And you're kind of expecting, oh, there's going to be a conflict there because they're in competition. Uh, what's her name? Chloe has alluded to the fact that there's this competition coming to Portland for like the best chef, but it's in a food truck. Or I didn't like fully understand, but one of like this not Food Network, but Food Network esque host is coming to like kind of judge it. Norma, so that's kind of the setup that like she really wants to win this. It's like $100,000 prize or something like that. But you have to get like votes or people have to nominate you to be a part of the actual competition. So that's what Chloe's going after. And then Gay pulls up in his Mo Bacon truck. Doesn't seem to have any sort of interest in this competition. It's just kind of like a chilled, relaxed guy. Although every time that truck pulls up, they play like the shitty heavy metal music that like he's supposed to be the bad boy and like everything he cooks with bacon. I liked Gabe, like his character, but like it didn't really fit the vibe that they kept trying to give him like as he pulled up, right? Like he wasn't like a badass or like mean guy, but like for some reason the whole like aura that they were trying to give him felt like they were trying to make him a little more tough than he really was.
Yeah, and I mean, I wasn't sure if he was listening to that or
Mhm.
if it was like you said, we were supposed to think like, oh, he's so cool.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, all right, dude, tone it down a little bit here with that. And like there's that scene too where he makes all those orders really quickly
Hmm.
after she tries to like sabotage him a little bit
Yeah.
by ordering a bunch of stuff. I was just like, there's no way you're making all of this quickly, and we're
Because
supposed
he's
to think he's like such a genius, you know?
he's by himself in there, right? And like
Yeah.
the whole thing, Chloe kind of says to her two other chefs that are in there with her, like, oh, friendly competition, blah blah blah, like I'm not concerned. And then like he pulls up, turns on his fans, and like the smell of bacon is supposed to be everywhere, so people freak out. And she starts talking about how like her regular customers are over there now, and like, so you think that's gonna be the like kind of tension here, right? She, like you said, calls in this like prank like order, which first of all, like food trucks are never cheap. And the stuff she rattles off, like that must have been over like $100, like at least, if not more. And like he's got this giant line. He's the only one that's in there. And her plan is like, oh, we'll put in this huge order. He'll have to start turning people away and they'll come over to us. But he like doesn't miss a beat, fills every order, ends up calling back and saying like her order is ready, although she's doing like a terrible like Italian accent. But apparently like he knew it was her. And like that's it. Like there's no like he's like, oh, here you go. You can have it. And it's on the house. It's like, what the fuck, man? Like, are you doing this to actually make money or, just for the love of bacon in this entire thing?
He's just, again, he's a nomad. He just has to
Mm-hmm.
make that. He has to get bacon to everyone's mouths. Yeah, I know. It was kind of weird. I was like, I think he probably ended up losing any money he made by the amount of food he gave her for free. You know?
That Leslie made excuse me, Leslie made the same comment last night because like in that scene, like it was like 13 or 14 things she ordered. There's another
Yeah.
scene where he gives her like a free sandwich, and then like later on he's giving her sandwiches. Like the amount he gave her versus like what he was actually selling, like do you think maybe Gabe was put there by like the National Pork Board or something? Like he's there to like push bacon and like kind of disguised as like, just this cool chef that's, just traveling the countryside.
It must be 100% that. Or the other thing too is there's a big push about the oh God, I can't remember the name of the vegetable, but the BLP, you know what I'm
Oh
talking
yeah.
about?
No, it wasn't parsnips. It was something else. I think I actually put it in
No.
my notes somewhere, but yeah, keep going. I'll find it.
It's like not Paloma or something. I don't know. Some
It was
some
something like that.
specific veggie that they use to make a special sandwich that apparently is so
Oh,
good.
parsim.
Um,
Parsim? Bacon lettuce and
Parsim?
parsim? Is that like a real thing?
Sure.
I don't
I
know.
have no idea what that even is, but yeah, so he's like he pushes that at least privately out of his business. But then that sort of becomes like a little bit of drama because her the main woman's like niece, right? It's her niece, yes.
Yes. Yep.
Wants to like boost her on social to get more of those votes. And so she posts a video of her saying, like, oh, the BLP, it's my special recipe. When it
Yeah.
really wasn't her idea, it was Gabe's idea.
That whole thing
Um,
was weird too, right? Because yeah, she was like kind of just goofing at the farmer's market. Is it parsimony? Was it parsimony? I don't know.
sure.
We don't need to do this. Um,
Yeah, it's all right.
so she was like goofing around at the farmer's market, right? And her niece started filming her. It's like, why did you do this? Like, it didn't make any sense to me. And then yeah, like the niece posted it and like caused this whole thing. But like, and again, like, so there at another point, like you think, okay, that's going to be the tension between the two, right? Like she stole his recipe and was trying to take it. But again, he just kind of forgives her and then gives her a free sandwich. So there's no tension there either. So I think
There's a lot of free sandwiches being given. I also
so
want to say
many.
really quick too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It drove me insane that this is before they had their little, 2 minute falling out.
Yeah.
But when he gives her that initial PL or BLP
Mm-hmm.
sandwich, she goes, we see like he gives it to her and he's like, did you eat dinner? And she's like, no, I didn't have time. So he
Mm,
gives her a BLP. Then we see her at home watching TV. She's got a bottle of wine out. She's got a glass of wine, and it's just sitting on her coffee table, untouched. I'm
yeah.
like, girl, I would have had that thing unwrapped and then
Right.
eaten on the way to the car. Like, you do not put that down and then sit there like, I'll just open a bottle of wine first before I even think about eating any dinner.
It was
Come on.
like, excuse me. He also didn't like cut it in half or anything, right? Like
Mm-mm.
it was on one of those obvious like ciabatta like rolls you get
Ciabatta.
from the grocery store that you just like pull out of one of those bins. And like at the end of the day, it was just bacon, lettuce, this thing that we can't pronounce, and I guess some of his magic sauce. Like it didn't look his magic sauce. he shot he shot his magic sauce all over it. Like it didn't look
Secret
that
ingredient.
impressive, right?
No, I mean it's probably freezing cold by then too. Like, listen, bacon is delicious, but bacon that's been sitting out for a long time, not
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah, yeah, it didn't seem like he really did much. So
No.
yeah, so I think that's kind of what I'm getting at, right? Like, it doesn't seem usually in these movies there's like the tension at the front, right? Like, if he had come into town and they had been butting heads right off the bat, and then they slowly kind of grow to like each other, but like this whole thing, like they're pretty flirty right off the bat. Like that first interaction at the farmer's market, like I thought they were gonna screw right there, like on top of the like tomatoes or whatever. Um, but then we get these small little like, oh, she stole my recipe, but then she explains herself and it's fine, or like she called in this prank and oh, it's fine. And like then like they both end up getting into the competition, right? Like she gets a ton of votes and is in there. She's very excited. He didn't even enter, but like people, I guess, nominated him. I don't understand how this works, but like, so he's
Wrote
in.
in, yeah.
Yeah. And like at a certain point says like, oh, I know you really want this. You know, I think, I don't know if it's by this point or not that she's decided that she wants to win and potentially open up a restaurant in her grandfather's old place. But like, he tells her, I'm going to back out. So, like, you don't have any competition. Like, she takes offense to that because, like, she's pretty much saying, oh, you don't think that, or, you know, you don't think that I could beat you, you know, like, but then, like, that kind of gets swept under the rug quickly. Like, there's a lot of small little, like, 5 minute spats, but, like, it never actually gets anywhere, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it doesn't. I was expecting something like that way earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
So when it does happen, where he does show up and he's like, "Listen, I'm going to drop out of this competition," and she's like so upset about it, but also not like they have a weird like
Yeah.
passive aggressive, but sort of still like congenial conversation about it, and then
Yeah.
like later the niece is like, "He loves you," like
Yeah.
that's why he did that, and she's like, "Okay."
Yeah, that's true. I'm gonna go screw him again on those
All right.
tomatoes. Uh
Yeah, let's go back to square one. Can I say something about the his brother, the 30-year-old brother?
Oh, I have thoughts. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So the house that Gabe is staying in is his brother's house.
Yeah.
And his brother is doing something where he has a lot of money. Um I just one I love the fact that we never see him outside of a suit. Like he always has
Mm,
some kind of suit on. Even like first thing in the morning, he's like, "Oh, good morning. I have my
yeah.
suit on." Also, was obsessed with his birthday party because it was one of those birthday parties that they do in movies, especially in these kinds of movies,
Well, yeah,
where like
yeah. I
12
want
of
to
his closest
dive
friends are
into the
there.
birthday party for sure.
It's like all these people, but no one speaks. And it's just like everyone's sitting at a table being like nodding at each
Exactly.
other.
The birthday party, and it was his 30th, right? Which is like a big
Mm-hmm.
one. That looked like the worst birthday ever. Like it looked like a
Yeah.
really bad like company retreat, right? Like everybody from the office is traveling, so we have to go out to like whatever the nicest local place is in some shithole town. And like, you know, your boss gives a speech, but you don't really want to be there. You're just trying to drink as fast as possible. And like, that was his 30th birthday, and it depressed me so much. And like, there was no music, there was no background music. It was just silence and the sound of like clinking forks and stuff, like as they ate. Like it looked like my family's Thanksgiving dinner, like just
Yeah,
silence and
basically.
yeah, really bad.
It really was like no one speaking. And then he was like, "Everyone, quiet down." And then he
Yeah,
stands up and gives a speech. And it's like, "Bud, you can
yeah.
just start talking. No one's speaking."
Our fourth quarter results were really great, guys, and I'm really proud of the hours you put in. Uh, also,
If it,
the yeah,
I was gonna say too, like I know for a fact if you and I were there at this dinner party, well, one, it would be a completely different experience.
right?
But two, when they roll out with that pasta dish,
With like 3 drops of sauce on it.
there's like a sneeze of sauce. And I was like, "Girl, I don't even care how good this tastes. I'd be pissed."
Yeah, absolutely. And like, yeah, it was cooked pasta, and like what it was like her. So the whole thing is her grandfather made sandwiches, and like the meatball parm, they didn't use marinara, right? Like it was some sort of like, it wasn't pesto, but it was like pesto type thing.
Kind of it, yeah.
And they decide to or you know, Gabe and Cleo are like good friends now, so she's gonna come to the brother's 30th birthday and cook dinner with Gabe. And this whole epiphany that like she's gonna try taking her ingredients and put them on a plate rather between 2 slices of bread. Which, first of all, when she said that, all I could think of was like a Subway sandwich, but like put on a plate with no bread. So it's like, Gabe's like, "Oh, that's a great idea. I really think you should do that. I can't wait to see it." And then like she pulls out a plate and it's just like 4 slices of turkey with like cheese and lettuce. I'm just like, I made this. This is my creation. um, but
It's
they,
so true. I literally, if I was picturing like with a steak sandwich, she was like, I thought like maybe if I took the bread off, I could have like this unique dish. I was like, that's just called a steak.
yeah,
So
that's
you're a
that's
little
just a
late to the party.
that's just a pile of meat on a plate now.
Yeah, yeah,
But like, yeah, so they use this sauce and put it on pasta. But to your point, and like this was the first thing Leslie and I saw too, was like it's I don't know the name of the pasta they were using, but it's like kind of those thick ribbon like pasta, and it's like a dish with that, and then just like literally a line of this sauce going like over it, and like what the fuck, Cleo? Like that's not what I'm here for. Um,
yeah.
my other thought, the brother, and this seemed to like go throughout. I don't think the brother really likes Gabe very much. Like they have moments of tenderness, but like every second the brother gets to like make a dig at the fact that like he leaves, he does, right? Like it's just a constant guilt trip. Like, oh, I guess you don't have any problem saying goodbye. It's sticking around that seems to be your issue. It's just like, all right, are you guys doing all right?
Yeah,
um,
we get it, dude. You want him to stay here. And then, yeah, when he's looking, like at the end, when he's like, I'm looking at apartments, but they're also expensive. He's like, "Oh, you can live here with me anytime you want to." But it didn't seem super genuine at the same time.
yeah, no, I don't think they particularly care for each other. Also, I feel
Mm-mm,
like
mm-mm.
Gabe seemed like a very nice guy, but like I think he's got some demons. I'm sure his brother does too. Like they've like that one scene. So I think it was around this time. Oh, when his brother walks out and sees him on the computer and he mentions like, oh, he's looking for apartments. No, Gabe was 100% looking at like snuff films or something like that. That was what he had up on his computer and just like panicked and then like couldn't get out of the lie. So now he has to move back to Portland, right?
That's 100% true, and I'm glad we agree on that. Because that house, I was like, we only see that one dining room. There's
Yeah.
got to be a dungeon in there with like a mattress, you
The
know?
whole house is very cold. Like it feels very
Hmm.
Patrick Bateman like style. Like it's yeah. And exactly like if that's your 30th birthday, like you have made zero connections with people in the outside world. Like those were like potentially your employees that felt like had to come to this dinner party, but like there was not an ounce of love in that room.
It was just people he drugged to be there that he's gonna kill later.
Yeah, or
They're
like
all like,
has
just
something on, like or he's murdered for those people and now like he holds it above their head. Um,
exactly.
so I don't know, we're all over the place, but let's talk about the competition itself, right? So they both get in. Gabe says he's going to back out, or I even put in quotes. I think he said, "I'm pulling out," and she goes, "You're pulling out? Why?" Which you
Are
know,
you finished?
yeah. um, so they have that little spat, but it gets squashed, and he, goes into the competition. And that's when we find out that it's not his ex girlfriend or wife that lives in town. It's the fact that Norma, who is like the famous chef that is like overseeing and judging the competition, apparently knows Gabe and lives in the Portland area. And her and Gabe were going to open up a restaurant together at one point. And Gabe kind of freaked out and ditched town and didn't tell her. And Norma, sees him. They end up reconciling. Um, but like they make up pretty quickly also, right? Like, is Gabe just like this charming son of a bitch that like no one can like hold a grudge against? Because if like you and I were going to open up a restaurant together, right? Like, and we go through the plans and like put the effort in, like that's a huge commitment. And then I just disappeared tomorrow and like didn't say a word to you, like you'd probably be pretty pissed. And like when we saw each other again for the first time, you'd probably still be pretty pissed. But like,
Dead in my book.
yeah, exactly. And rightfully so. But Norma's just like, oh, I can't believe you did that because it was going to be a great restaurant. Come here, you big lug.
It's like every argument in this movie is like it's like only we only know it's an argument because they tell us ahead of time where he's
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't want to see Norma, and then it's like, oh man, it's because you left her alone without help with the restaurant, and then he sees her and she's like, hi Gabe, and he's
Oh,
like,
you?
hi, oh my gosh, it's been so long, and she's like, yeah, well, I'm glad to see you, and don't worry about any of that stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Now let's start this competition that I'm judging, close friend. Like,
Exactly, I know. and I'm sorry too. Okay, so he
Don't
sort of
apologize.
fronted
Don't
as
ever
like,
apologize.
I just have to because we said he makes the bacon, right? And I looked at his menu that he has. It's like grilled cheese with bacon, all things that I enjoy,
There
trust
was
me.
like bacon
But I'm
fried
like,
rice, right?
oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
sounds kind of intriguing. Um, but it's like, it's not like there's that much stuff that's super different or that we don't get
Exactly.
ever.
Yeah.
So I was like, what is the thing that people like? Literally, this town has never had bacon before. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because they're like, oh my God, did you have the bacon that has the bacon on it? And they're like, such a good idea. I was just kind of shocked the whole time.
It's funny you bring that up because now like it's reminding me there are so many scenes in this where there's like obvious things going on and like things that everybody knows about and like the cast is just like what? Like what is it at one point Cleo says, oh, my niece calls that FOMO, fear of missing out, and Gabe is like FOMO. like like that's been like a thing. Like it's not something anyone uses anymore, but like for like 10, 15 years, people have been saying that. But like Gabe is like an alien or robot that like is hearing these things for the first time. Like there's like at one point he's talking to his brother. He's like, they should really make an app for finding food trucks. And like this movie came out in 2020. Like those exist and have for years. And like Gabe and his brother are like, that's a really good idea. Maybe we should do that. Like to the point where you think that's gonna be like their thing. But then in the next
Yeah,
scene, he's just like, his brother's like, oh, by the way, that exists, so we're not gonna do that. And it's like, okay. And like
yeah.
it felt like there were so many things where they're like, oh, what's the internet? I haven't heard of that. Niece, tell me more. Like like they all just came from like another planet where like modern technology and like sayings just aren't a thing for some reason.
Well, it's also, I was going to ask you too, because I was a little confused. So this competition, was it only open to food truck
I think
people?
so. The rules were very loose. There wasn't
Yeah.
much explanation. I thought the way that they set it up was going to be like that. I don't know if you watched it on Food Network, but like the food or food truck competition where like there was going to be
Yeah.
rounds and like do that sort of thing. But no, it was just like an afternoon. What's her name? The chef Norma was the only judge, like, and she
Hmm.
pretty much just went around to the booths and tried everything and then decided who gets $100,000 based off of that.
Yeah, that was insane.
Like not only that, and then I guess there was the a $10,000 prize for like the fans votes or something like that. Like it was very like, this is Norma just like have a shit ton of money and like this is what gets her off, like making people compete for her.
Yeah, I didn't get it either. It was because I was like, there's got to be, this has to be only food trucks because I'm like, you cannot be telling me that there's no other like good restaurants in
Yeah.
Portland, Oregon. Like
Yep.
that was the thing too, the setting. I was just like, the food scene is not food trucks there. That's
Yep.
what's so interesting too, is like, this is a real place, folks, that we can fact check. And yet you've said it here like there's no other good food except these food trucks. And I come here every night and talk to my friend here who makes, buns and stuff like that. It was just kind of weird, the choice, even the location. I was like, you just make up a fake town. Then I would like not care as much, you know?
Yeah, it's funny you say that too cuz like it did feel like someone was just in a like a boardroom like, all right, bacon is cool right now, like people love bacon. Food trucks are cool right now. Portland is just a hip town that we've heard of. Let's throw it all there and just call it a
Hmm.
day, right? And
Yeah.
see what happens. Um, but anyway, so Norma goes around and she's trying things. I don't know if you picked up on this, but like it really pissed me off. Cleo makes the pasta, right? With the whisper of a sauce and hands it to Norma and she's like, homemade pasta with my blah 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 blah. The scene before we see Cleo walking into her truck with bags of pasta from like the grocery store. And they're like, you're a fucking liar, Cleo. You know that?
Yeah.
You're a
Yeah. It's
dirty,
just the sauce.
yeah. Which I bet she didn't even make either. I bet it's just from like a can. Like
It's,
there's
yeah, probably like it's part Prego and then spinach. And the secret ingredient is Gabe's sweat and other juices. Like I don't know.
He pulled out. Uh, so I mix Newman's Own and Prego together. That's my secret. Don't
It's
tell.
Heinz ketchup and Hunt's ketchup.
um, so obviously Cleo ends up winning, right? Like, despite
Mhm.
what I assume Gabe had like a tawdry romance with Norma. He gets the like the runner up prize of the $10,000. Um, Cleo gets the $100,000, and she's kind of told everyone that she wants to open up a restaurant at this point because like just completely given up on sandwiches, like never wants to see bread again. Um, and then obviously they kiss at the end, and we cut to 6 months later. She's opened up the restaurant in her grandfather's old place, which we kind of joked about at the beginning, but we didn't really talk about. Like, every day she sits outside of this restaurant, which is abandoned, boarded up, like nobody is there. And like, there's probably, I mean, not that Portland is like a dirty city or anything, but like, I assume there's homeless people living inside. Like, you know, people are urinating in the corner, and she just sits there and like draws pictures every day, and this old
Mhm.
guy walks by and like says hi to her. I don't know if you saw that drawing she did though, like at the end. It looked like a child's drawing. Like,
Yeah, it really did. It really did. It was like maybe I thought at first I was like, "Oh, did you draw that when you were a kid?" And then you're just looking at it. But then I was like, "Oh no, those are some fresh
that's you.
pieces of paper you've got." Yeah, yeah,
You're
that's brand
coloring
new.
that in. Um,
Mhm.
so so 6 months later, the restaurant is up and running. Uh Gabe and Cleo are together. He's decided to stay in Portland. For some reason, this restaurant has been open for a while, but like Cleo's sister and Gabe's brother are just meeting for the first time, even though there was, I assume, some sort of like big event for the opening. And like that's kind of where we're left, right? Like there's no marriage or anything like that, but like you kind of assume that's where we're headed. And like
Right.
that's kind of where the movie wraps, right? I think.
Yeah. I want to say too, this is going really far back, but I like lost my mind. I totally forgot about this.
Yeah.
When there's a scene earlier on when she goes to Cleo goes to her brother's house
Mhm.
to like there's
Oh
just a
yeah.
scene where she's talking to him and he's making dinner, right? So he's making dinner and I was like, "What are you making?" And it's just like veggies, like sauteed veggies,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so he's like, "Oh, am I doing this right?" And it's like, "Bitch, yeah, you probably are.
Yeah.
It's just veggies." And then she steps in and does like one little thing and he's like, "Oh,
My
oh,
God.
so good. How do you do this?" And I was just like, I cannot stand when things like this happen where it's like, there's no way for us to understand if this actually tastes good.
Yeah.
So you have to sort of like make us visually think it's going to be good. Like, I don't know, like some kind of special sauce on a
Yeah.
lot of it, or like watching someone cook it and it like just looks so good. But when the movies like this, where it's like the easiest thing you could ever make, like a bowl of cereal, and then
Yeah.
someone just like does one little thing and they're like, "What were you thinking? This
You
is just
put
the best thing I've ever had."
milk on this? What?
Wait, is that milk?
Well, the thing too is because I
Delicious.
remember this scene, and she does. She walks over and she's like, "Let me take over." And she puts like it's like a sauce or seasoning or something that is literally sitting next to the pan that he's working out of. And it's like,
Yep.
all right, he was obviously going to do this anyway. Like, why why do you think like you're sprucing up his creation here? Like, yeah, you're 100% valid. The movie had a lot of those, right? Like, just,
Yeah.
like everything was very surface level. The acting in general felt very like, I don't know, like it was from like another world. Like the just
Hmm.
the kind of tone of everyone, like it felt like when people goof on Hallmark movies, I feel like this is what they think of. And like, by all means, like it serves its purpose and it has its place. And like, I don't dislike the movie, even though we kind of goofed on it for the last, 45 minutes. But like this, with the exception of kind of the conflicts not really being there, I feel like is one of the most stereotypical, like quote unquote Hallmark movies I think we've done for the show. Like not just you and I, but like in general, the show. So yeah, I don't know. That's what kind of stuck with me.
Yeah, it felt like a paint by numbers kind of
For sure.
old school, like you said, old school Hallmark. And even like the as goofy as the title was, like I'm like, did anyone go crazy in this movie? No.
Nobody
Like,
went
no one
crazy.
was like, there was no tension where it was like, oh, like you're just so intense, but I love you because you're so sexy or you're so funny. It's
That's
just like
valid. Yeah.
there's a lot of like mild conversations that could potentially be a problem, but
But
aren't.
didn't.
So it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. They just
Yeah.
wanted to use the plan words, I guess, the bacon me
Exactly.
crazy
Yeah.
thing.
No. And that's a really good point, right? Because like if that first scene where she plays the prank and like then they kind of go back and forth from there, and like that's the theme of the movie, like that makes sense, right? Because they're like driving each other crazy. But like everything's pretty happy throughout this entire thing. Like, there's conflict here and there, but like for the most part, things are going pretty well in everybody's world here. What was it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. You're
I
you're
wanted to say, I
yeah.
wanted to say too, this is a little off topic, but I was going to save it to share in the show. But you sent me, so when you were talking about the movie to watch, you sent me like a trailer,
Mhm.
and the link to the trailer was just on YouTube. And the person who uploaded the trailer
Oh.
wrote, like, they titled it like "You're Baking Me Crazy" trailer, but the "your" they did the YOUR instead
Mhm.
of the YOU
Oh.
apostrophe. And it was hilarious because like literally every comment on that trailer was, "You spelled this wrong. You spelled this wrong." And I was like, "Geez." And then apparently, is this a book?
It
Because I
was,
thought I
yeah.
saw people say, "Oh my god."
Yeah, yeah, this is
I
based
wonder
off a
if the
book.
book is like, because people were saying the book is way better, and I was like,
Oh,
okay,
interesting.
maybe it actually is. Maybe there's actual drama in the book. Who
Yeah,
knows?
I'm kind of interested now.
Hmm.
We're going on vacation next week. We're going to be on a cruise. I'm going to have some downtime. Like maybe I'll look into this. Maybe I'll put the Bono
Please,
book down and pick up the bacon one.
those will go hand in hand together. I feel like
Yeah.
Bono would appreciate the "You're Baking Me Crazy" novelization.
Do you care about you two? Do you like them at all? Are you opposed to them?
I used to really like them. I don't
Mm,
not like them. I
mm.
guess I don't know. I had a teacher in high school that was obsessed with them, so I kind of lost a little steam because
Oh, I
I
get
she
that.
played them all the time, and I was like, all right, I've heard.
This is a bit
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like the older I get, I liked them when I was younger, and then like faded a little bit. But now that like I'm in my 40s, like I've just like not obsessed, but like really gone back hard. I am so
Yeah,
excited for this Vegas thing, like their residency. Like I told Leslie like the moment they announced that, like I am just I'm all in. I got to get there. Like this is my Adele.
please.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, forget Adele. Let's go to you too. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, fuck her. Uh, okay, she seems very nice, and I believe
I'm
she's a
sure she's
listener.
awesome.
No, she's written
Oh
in
yeah,
before, so
she's. I think her and all of you too. So I
yeah.
think you know you can't please everybody.
That'd be nice if they listened together, like all of them just sitting around, like, "Oh, that was funny what Joe just did." I can't do like an accent. Uh,
She calls him up. It's like, Bipes, there's a new episode of
I
Small Town Filing. Bipes.
never find someone like Joe. Like, that'd be
That's her new
nice.
remix that's gonna
Yeah,
come out.
Babes. I wish
Amazing.
nothing but the best for Joe. It'd be nice. um, all right. The most important question, you're happily ever after here. Who from You're Baking Me Crazy do you kind of settle down with and ride off into the sunset? It's a tough one.
That's
It's
a
a tough
hard
choice.
question.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can I say like the bacon truck?
Oh, yeah. I mean, why not? Good for you.
Only if it's like a magical truck. I mean, I'm assuming this is a magical bacon truck where there's unending supplies of bacon
Yeah.
and also everything is cooked for you because that's basically what we saw Gabe do. He stood at the window being like, "What would you like? Bacon? Oh,
Right?
here you go." You know.
That is
So,
true too. Like we never see him like pick up a spoon or like any sort of instrument. Like we see him
no.
make that sandwich for her in the beginning, but like everything's already like, and it's the end of the night. So like everything must have been cold. Like nothing is fresh. And he's just like, here you go. Here's that. Like,
Have you
yeah,
had dinner?
this is
Yeah.
bullshit. The pasta that she didn't really make but took credit for, like, There's a lot going on in the underbelly of these two food trucks.
Hmm.
I don't know who I would pick either, honestly, because like I couldn't tell who was who in a lot of these scenes. Like her sister, I think, but like I couldn't tell if she was 14 or 30. Like I just everything made me uncomfortable when I was trying to think about this. I guess Norma, like Norma seems like she has a ton of money to throw around and just like makes people do competitions for her own amusement. Like maybe I
Yeah.
could be her, like, whatever the opposite of a sugar daddy is, like I'm just her kept man. Like I guess I could do that. Like that would be,
You could be her sugar baby.
yeah, that's, I guess that's, is that what you call it? I have no idea.
I don't
Uh,
honestly, I don't know. I think that just sounds right.
yeah, between this and the Parsnapides or whatever they were putting on.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
all right. So finally, you're baking me crazy. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Would you recommend? You know,
Oh, I have to probably say thumbs down because I was
mm,
like bored
yeah,
and not, and like the stuff that was infuriating wasn't like fun infuriating where
yeah.
it's like this is no blueberry farm, irresistible blueberry farm, let me tell you.
Well, to
You
be
know what I
fair,
mean?
that blueberry farm was not irresistible either. So
It wasn't, but it was like irresistible in the sense of this is crazy. And
yeah,
I just was excited to talk about and do all the innuendos. This one I was like, I don't know. I don't know what
yeah.
else to say about this, you know?
I think the title just built it up too much, right? Because like you expect it's bacon, all right, I get it, but like you expect it to be a little fun. Seems harsh to say that it's not fun, but like more fun than it was. I
Hmm.
don't know if I would say thumbs down. I would say, and uh, I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, but like if you want to sit in a room and goof on a movie, this one I think it's a good pick for that. As far as like
Sure.
a Hallmark movie that I would say I actually enjoyed and would be like, hey, you may have preconceived notions about these movies, but give this one a go. I would not put this on that list by any means. Like,
Fair, fair.
you know. All right. So that's You're Baking Me Crazy. Instagram and Twitter, we are on at Small and Failing. Got some questions, a couple that very important. First one, is it even possible? Or wait, sorry. If it's even possible, what's your most questionable use of bacon? I don't know if I have a questionable. I did for a while. Anytime I cooked bacon, I would save the fat and use that to cook. Which some people might find a little wonky, but it's very good. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people do that.
yeah, yeah. So that's not like crazy. But I don't think I've ever like used it in like oh, that's crazy. Um,
I don't think so either. I think the only thing I've had with bacon that was quote unquote crazy was I don't remember if we ever talked about this because I think it's back now. But do you remember the KFC Double Down?
oh yeah, valid. That's a good one.
Wait, okay. Okay. So for anybody listening that doesn't know what this is, it is two pieces of fried chicken that are the act as the bun,
Hmm.
and in between that is a lot of bacon, and I think there's like
There's a
gravy or something, right?
there's a sauce and cheese. Like
Yes. It is probably one of the worst things you could ever eat in your life,
but
but I
it's all,
have had that.
but it's also not
So
bad.
maybe
Yeah.
that's like my craziest bacon
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, since you brought that up, it reminded me. I remember when I was in high school. Speaking of Taco Bell, they had like a promotion for a while where they had BLT tacos, and like it was for a while where it was just like, oh, we have bacon here. So there was like a chicken club taco, and they had a BLT taco, which was pretty much their soft taco supreme, but instead of ground beef, they used bacon, and like it was again like it's amazing that I didn't have a coronary by the time I graduated, but like that like month long promotion or however long it was there, like I would say was like my summer of love. Like that was
Sure.
my spring awakening, if you will. Like it was. I still look
Absolutely.
back about it and think about it like someday you got to bring that back. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I guess that would be like my one. Although it's not like we made either one of those, but there you go.
Still,
Uh,
we chose.
and then second question: if they made a sequel, would it be called Bacon to Electric Boogaloo? Which why
Mm.
not? Are you familiar with? You might be a little too young to remember the Breakin' movies.
Hmm.
You do or no?
No, I know. I've definitely heard of
Oh,
it. Yeah, yeah. I haven't seen them, but I know the. I feel like the Electric Boogaloo thing
part two.
is
Yeah.
a joke that I caught up on a while back. Yeah,
I've
yeah.
probably made it more than once, and between
Oh,
you and
you
I.
definitely
So
have.
yeah,
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 definitely. I think that's probably where I first heard it, and I was like, "What?" And then I was like, "Oh, it's an actual movie." Okay.
yeah. It's not like, speaking of movies to like goof on, like, one, it's fun. Like, it's got like good music in it if you're into like the 80s. And it's a ridiculous movie. So I'd recommend. Give it a go.
All right. I'll try it
Um
out.
all right, so Instagram and Twitter, Small and Failing. We are on Facebook. Just look for Small Town Failing Podcast. Cameo, if you're looking for a gift for that special loved one. Small Town Failing. iTunes and Spotify. Thanks so much to everybody that has given reviews there. On YouTube now, at Small and Failing on YouTube. We've been posting up like the last 4 or 5 episodes. And I think that's it. Evan, where can the gang find you?
Oof, that's a good question. You
What's your
can
home
find me on
address? Can you
Twitter.
give that?
My home address. You can find me on, I think Instagram and Twitter are the same, which is just at Platformerly.
Hmm.
I do that. I don't do my name anymore because I don't want students to find me. And I think I'm
That
private
makes
anyway.
sense.
So if you so badly want to follow me, go for it.
Perfect. All right. So usually at the end, I have no idea what we're doing on the next episode, but like, because of this movie and because I've been kind of like, posting that we're recording, asking for questions and stuff, our good friend Elise Murray actually sent in a thing because the star of this, Natalie Hall, also was in a Lifetime movie called Stalked by a Prince. Which she's like, I don't care if I'm on the episode or not, but like, this needs to be discussed. So um Elise will be on the next episode and we'll be talking about Stalked by a Prince from the good folks at Lifetime. So like, I think I'm pushing 2 years now. This is the first time I've had like a plan in place, so I'm very excited, even though it's all
It's
Elise's
amazing.
credit. Yeah, things are really looking up for me, Evan. I don't know if you're familiar.
I probably will actually watch that one ahead of listening
Yeah,
too, because as you mentioned it earlier before we recorded, and I was just Googling the plot summary, and I was like, okay, I'm a little intrigued here.
it sounds ridiculous. I think you have to, like, it's only available for rent for like $2 on Amazon. So, yeah.
Why not?
But I'm sure it's out there for free somewhere too. But yeah,
Yeah,
Evan, as always, thank you so much. I know your time is
yeah.
precious, and I appreciate you coming on. And this has been
Oh my
wonderful.
God, I always love it. I mean, it's a like we said, it's always a good excuse to like hang out and talk
Yeah.
and learn how many kids you actually have. So that's helpful for me. But yeah, I always love being here, and thank you for letting me see your Bacon Me Crazy. I can add it to my
Put that
list of
on.
movies that I've seen.
Put it on the letterbox. Mark that one off.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And then yeah, Stalked by a Prince next time. Thanks everybody. Oh, I forgot the music can play. I'm gonna do it. There it is. All right. Thanks everybody. Bye. Shah.